a similar size. I said, who wants to increase their revenue? Everyone's like, that's what we need to do. That's the solution. I said, arguably, that's one of the most dangerous things to do because it's a reckless belief. We believe that sales cures everything, and that is total nonsense. Total nonsense. What sales does is it can bring in more cash, but also brings in more organizational stress. You have more responsibility now, more things you need to service. So when a business says we're cranking up revenue, I am looking to see, are they doing it through diversifying their offering, which I think is a mistake. Instead of becoming special, they're doing many things and they dilute their ability, they're not efficient. We'll look, are they serving customers with varying demands? Customers that are perhaps big names, but then they assert their strength. I had a client of mine I worked with. Walmart was their best customer, #1 in revenue. We looked at them, their demands were off the charts. They said, when you deliver your product, it was like a bracelet thing, they said, it's gotta come on a Monday at 10:30 in the morning, and if you're outside like a 5-minute window, we're gonna penalize you. If the SKU, that UPS code, if it's more than a 1/4 inch below the top of the box, we're gonna penalize you. And Walmart does this for efficiency, that's why they do it. But my client, they saw that as good revenue, it was crushing them with the penalties. Their #2 customer was Dollar General. Is that around here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dollar General's like, hey, deliver it whenever you can because we're always playing second fiddle to Walmart. So, Cody, you'll love this. Here's what he did. He put a sign above his desk and he had 15 employees. The sign says this, our policy is to answer the call on the first ring. If it's the Dollar General, answer the call and start taking their order. And if Walmart calls, let it go to voicemail and then call them back when you're done. The miraculous thing was the next one. It said, we always answer in the first ring. If the first call is Walmart, start taking their order. But while you're on the phone with Walmart, if Dollar General calls, immediately hang up on Walmart. Like, say, sorry, we have an emergency, disconnect and prioritize. So they're not cutting off customers or revenue, but they're prioritizing the quality revenue. It transformed his business. It was a family business. It was 25 years old. They were struggling to get 4 million. It went 4, 18, 27, sold it.
You know what's crazy too, and we'll take you guys through this process. So you'll go through a process where you basically analyze your cash flow, and we'll use a 13-week rolling cash flow, which I love. And then we'll also talk to you about your underlying clients. What's your best avatar versus your worst? Because I think a lot of times we lump our business all together. We don't know what customers cost us to get, and we certainly don't know what customers cost us to keep. And it's not because we're bad operators, it's because we're busy. And it's sort of hard. And so it takes this pause and analysis. And the truth of it is, your team is not gonna do that. That is gonna have to be a you thing at most levels of the business.
That is brilliant. I'll add to that, there's a real simple strategy that we've deployed. And what you do is you sort your clients out over the last year, the revenue they've generated for you. And the reason is people lie to each other constantly because it's social grace. Like when you saw me, like, hey, Mike, it's so good to see you. I'm a huge fan. I'm like, are you, Cody? Are you? But
I am.
Thank you. But could you imagine you come up to me and say, oh, your books really suck, Mike? Like, you can't do that because of social grace and not be like, well, that's offensive. And then we get into this disagreement. Or customers will never say to your face, your business kind of sucks. Poop 911's here. Oh, it's kind of like more turd 411, you know what I'm saying? like they're never gonna. That was a good one. That was good. That was juicy. But they would never say that to you. But what they will do is go online and slam your reputation. So you can't trust their words, but you can trust their wallets. So don't trust words, trust wallets. If they buy from you repeatedly or they're demonstrating they value you. But there's a second test. It's the intersection of them valuing you, spending money, with your appreciation and enjoyment of them. So when the car ID pops up on your phone, are you like, oh my gosh, they're amazing? Or are you like, oh gosh, I wish they didn't exist? Which one do you pick? Because if you have a customer that generates a lot of revenue, but you don't like working with them, you automatically, inherently, subconsciously perhaps, deprioritize their service. You don't call them back as quickly, you delay it, you avoid it. So we want the intersection of best customers that you love working with, circle those customers and start to clone them. And what I mean by cloning them, I find out where they congregate, where's their associations or communities, where's the people like them hanging out, and I'm gonna insert myself there.
That's so good. Yeah, we obsess on client avatars, and I feel like the #1 thing that most people do wrong in business is they sell demographically as opposed to really nailing their avatar. Like I've never met a 45 to 65-year-old male 40% of the time and 60% of the time a woman. I mean, these days, who knows? But historically, no. And so, I really like this idea of what are the characteristics of this type of avatar? And then how do we go after them?
Yeah, and look for the congregation points. So when I'm targeting a market, I'll say, is there an association for this? This is when I'm selling B2B. Is there an association? Is there some kind of meetups or something like that? For example, maybe I'm serving pilots, retired pilots. Well, I'd say, is there a retired pilot association? Which actually I know there is. So that's an opportunity. They're already congregating. But if I look for single moms who hate their mom, that demographic exists, perhaps even in this room. But do they have a meetup club? Maybe not. If they don't have a congregation point, you have to assemble it yourself. It is the most exhausting, time-consuming effort. It rarely fails. So when someone says, I have a niche, it's, I serve single moms who don't like their moms. That's not a niche because you have to now assemble them together. But if you're serving the airline retired pilot association, I know where they're going. They may have a dedicated podcast and you insert yourself there and they see you ubiquitously. They see you everywhere.